Alright guys, I'm going to be trying something new on the channel this week because one, I'm sick and I don't really feel in the mood to sort of play Warframe right now to go and level a new weapon and make a video about it. But I was having a discussion about my clan about the type of content that I should be making on the channel, and they just suggested talking about issues or something in the game really that made them think about the game that they were playing rather than just making guide after guide after guide to sort of broaden the horizons on the channel a little bit and make it more, I want to say, diversify a little bit, I guess, is the right phrase that I'm going for. So today I wanted to talk about grinding in Warframe because I feel like this is a subject which a lot of people are against and a lot of people are for in regards to if they like it or dislike it, I guess. So back in my day, whenever I first started playing Warframe, anytime you used a void key, which is now known as void relics, you would only get one prime part per mission, right? And to an extent, you know, we were able to, like, even in a defense or a survival or something, you'd only get one prime part. So let's say you were going after Loki Prime. The rarest part for Loki Prime back in that time was the Loki Prime systems, and you got the Loki Prime systems from a T4 defense. So what you had to do was you had to go play an interception, get to wave 4, you had to get your T4 defense key. Then you take your T4 defense key and you play till rotation C to see if you get a chance in getting your Loki Prime systems, right? So if you got to rotation C and you didn't get your Loki Prime systems, let's say you get an Akprunko Prime blueprint, right? And anything else you got beforehand was a lot better. Let's say you get an Orphos Prime handle. You wouldn't actually get to have that Orphos Prime handle because you would be extracting at wave 20, which is whenever you got your Akprunko Prime blueprint. So you just extract and you'd be left with that there because you chose to extract at that rotation C part because you're basically telling the game, well, this is the reward that I want to leave with. It was more back in the time where the more you played, the more you got rewarded. And that's why that was like my main attraction to Warframe back in the day whenever I played it. Like, I'm not going to lie here. I don't play Warframe as much as I did back in the day. I don't play it as much now because I feel like the game's got to a point where it's a lot easier. And I realized this whenever I was making my Beginner's Guides 2.5. It was a lot easier to get the elemental mods. It was a lot easier to get, you know, the weapons which would deal a decent amount of damage. Like, we have the Sonic Core, we have the Tong Core. We have all these really high damaging weapons, and we have such early access to all these really rare mods now that the game becomes too easy, and I feel like you get to the point in the game where you can basically one-shot anything far too early, and it takes away that whole, oh yeah, okay, well, I worked for that, now, you know, I should be able to one-shot anything type of feeling that the veteran players, I feel, would get from playing Warframe over the past couple of years. Now, we don't notice it that much as a veteran player because we don't usually go back and replay the game. And I can say from experience, like, I've replayed the game multiple times. Like, I've went from 0 to master rank 16 at max, on the other accounts. So my first ever account was an account called Aaron's Gaming TV because that was my original YouTube channel name way back in the day. And I got the master rank 16 in that. I was able to get a good majority of the prime frames. And then I moved on and I made my iFlynn account. And once I made my iFlynn account, I got the master rank, I want to say 20 on PS4. And then that's when I was like, okay, well, I was a Call of Duty YouTuber back in the day. I was like really into Advanced Warfare. And whenever I was getting frustrated at Advanced Warfare because of the extremely bad balance in that game, I would just hop on Warframe, and that was sort of my chill, relax game. And I knew a lot about Warframe because I chilled in a Twitch stream with a guy called Blaze Hun. So I was like, okay, well, I've learned almost everything I know from this guy Blaze Hun and another guy called Calypso Gaming. So I want to pass my knowledge on to people. Even though I'm not maybe the most qualified person to do that there, I want to pass my knowledge on to people. And that's when my Beginner's Guide series was born. And I made my Beginner's Guide series. It blew up in my face. 1.2 million views to this day. Pretty crazy, just from sitting on my ass and making some guides on Warframe. Like I said, I wasn't the most qualified person to be making guides, but I still did it. It was pretty cool. And at that time, Warframe was a super fun game because it was a game that I knew every time I invested time into this game, I was always going to be better than the next person that came into the game. You know, it wasn't sort of this, I wanted to have like a high ground over anybody, but it was just the feeling of, okay, well, because I'm clearly better, because I've invested a lot more time in this game, I have a lot more knowledge on it, I have a lot more experience, obviously I'm better, and I can show for that with, let's say, the amount of platinum I have, the amount of prime frames I have, you know, the type of mods I have, the exclusive weapons, and all this good stuff. And to a degree, the game still lives up to that. And I this is an argument which is going to be thrown at me in this video, because people are going to make the argument of, okay, well, Flynn, they vault prime frames and all this good stuff. But, like, you know, whenever they vault a prime frame, they're going to re-release it, and they use this more as sort of a profit thing now, where they re-release this prime frame and they say, limited time, exclusive prime frame, and then people are either going to farm it up, if they're smart, or they're going to buy it if, let's say, they're new to the game and they just want the latest and greatest shiny thing. Because Warframe, the main drive for Warframe whenever you start playing it is to get these shiny things, because they make you look cool, they make you look like an experienced player, they make you look like a veteran player, and that's basically the carrot on the end of the stick, right? That's what everyone chases, and they keep on bringing out these new frames, and everyone just keeps on going after them, and that's how it works. But back in my day, is what I'm trying to get or across to you guys here. Back in my day, having a prime frame either meant you were loaded in cash, you were just able to buy the prime access, or you put intense hours in this game, or you were super lucky. You know, you could just get, you know, whatever keys it was, the 4 keys that you needed to get Lucky Prime, you could run one of those once, and you got all parts in the first run. Super cool, super lucky guy, easy peasy. That was that. But it gave you more, like, a better feeling of, okay, well, I invested the time, this is my reward, and this is what I have to show for that time. And I guess the main point that I'm trying to make with this video is I feel like that feeling has now disappeared, because I don't play it as much. I feel like the game has got to a stage where it's far too easy, and it's also taken away the thing that I love most about the game. I was one of the people in the minority who didn't want to sort of move on to the star chart, because I feel like the star chart is a place where all the new players go to, and once they are sort of done with the star chart, they never really want to look at it again. At least that's how I felt whenever I first started playing Warframe. Whenever I first started playing Warframe, I was like, alright, I'm sick of these god-awful tile sets, right? You have the Infested tile set, you have the Corpus tile set, you have the Grenier tile set, and they were pretty, I don't want to say crap, but I want to say annoying. I didn't like any of the star chart tile sets because of the annoying things that they had on them. I don't find it was an enjoyable gameplay experience on any of those tile sets past a certain point. Whenever you're first playing the game, it's cool because everything is new to you, but whenever you're playing the game for about 3-4 years, you get to the stage where you're like, okay, well, I've seen all this before. Everything really here is just kind of an annoyance to me, because I can just run past every single enemy in this mission, and really the only thing that's in my way is the traps, so the laser trap, or the spy cameras and the Grenier, or anything like that there. And it just wasn't, I don't feel like they're necessarily fun, is what I'm trying to get across. What I did find fun was the Void. And the reason I found the Void fun is because it was a very high quality, you could tell a lot of effort and detail went into the creation of this sacred place, right? And I know there's going to be a lot of people who argue with the lore and blah blah blah, but I play video games for fun, and the Void is the place where I found the most fun in Warframe, because it was just a very, you know, awesome place to be in, and it was like a daily occurrence. I always got to play in the Void, and it was never really a disappointment or a disappointing experience. And I can understand why people say, okay, well, playing the same thing over and over again is kind of grindy, but at the same time, it was sort of a good kind of grind, if you get what I mean here. So I liked the Void. The Void was awesome. The tile sets on the star chart, not so much. But I get the idea of merging endgame players with newer players by incorporating the endgame missions and the Void Relics on the star chart. I definitely understand that. But I feel like it was a massive change that came to the game that really wasn't necessarily needed. So if you guys aren't really aware, the Void Relic system came into place because people were sick of not only running a Void Key. Let's say they're running a Void Key and they were doing free hour survival runs, and they were going for whatever prime part it was. Let's say Vault Prime Systems. I know maybe it's not one of the most rarest parts in the game, but let's say that, for example. They were sick of doing these long-ass runs and not getting their parts, so they were like, okay, let's find a way to alleviate the grind, which right there I feel like I kind of have a problem with, because Warframe at its core is a game about grinding. That's how I felt. Now, I might be in the minority saying that, but I feel like Warframe is a game about grinding and working your way up. And I feel like whenever you take issue with doing a certain thing over and over and over again, you're kind of taking issue with the entire game, because no matter how many times Digital Extremes make a new sort of iteration of grind, it's still going to be a grind. It's still going to be the same thing. You're still going to play hours and hours and hours to get a particular part. So they did alleviate the grind in the form of void traces, which, yes, it makes it a lot easier to get prime parts. But again, that's another problem that I kind of have with the game, because now newer players coming into the game are finding it a lot easier to get the prime warframes and stuff. Of course, this is like a good and bad thing for Digital Extremes, in my opinion, because whenever a player is able to acquire everything in the game super easy, it makes it so that they're going to get bored of the game a lot quicker, right? So what they're doing, which is a very smart business move, is they're taking things out of the game and then sort of wiggling it in your face whenever they feel like, you know, everyone's sort of got the new Prime Warframe. They're wiggling it, hey, look, exclusive thing that's been locked away, come back and get it, that type of thing. And that just makes it so every single player and their mother can sort of just log in and get everything in the game pretty easy, because like it's pretty easy to farm up the void relics. It's pretty easy to play the void missions, because most people just play captures now. You know, they just play captures to farm their prime parts, right? They burn their void relics in capture missions or rescue missions or whatever the case may be. They don't necessarily, if they're trying to get a prime frame, they don't say, oh yeah, let's do a defense, let's do a survival, because they take longer. And in a game about grinding, you want to do things the fastest way possible. Back in the day, there was a method of movement called coptering, and people were outraged whenever they removed that there. It was basically the use of stacking a lot of attack speed on your melee weapon and using that to fling yourself across the map by doing the coptering in midair. So you basically slide, or you went into the sliding animation, and then you hit your melee button and you would fling yourself like really far, and you'd be able to sort of abuse the wall running system back in the day and sort of propel yourself forward even more. It was pretty cool, but it was also pretty clunky, and I believe it was also a bug, but it was still like a core mechanic of the game that was there, and a lot of people were outraged whenever it was taken out, because it was a method of doing things pretty fast, right? So that's another conflicting thing that I have there, because it's a game about grinding, you know? So what I'm really trying to get across here, I guess, with the commentary, is I feel like the void system with the void relics now, I don't feel like it was necessarily a necessary change, if you get what I'm saying, because it's awesome we have the void relics in place now, and we can use our void traces, which we get from that said mission, to refine our void relics and then have a higher chance to get those parts. At its core, that's what the community were asking for, those of which who were fed up with playing free hour void survival missions. But then again, right, this is my main problem with it, it has basically made the void useless other than when you're playing it in a sortie or you're going there to get argon crystals, right? So it's took this really awesomely designed, detailed place and basically shoved it to the side. And it's also took the concept of grinding in the game and working your way up there, and again, shoved it to the side. So I feel like if a new player just jumps into the game, let's say they watch my beginner guides, I know it's not the best guide ever. You watch the beginner guides, you get to the final episode, and you realize you have weapons which can basically one-shot what's stopping that player from going into the highest level mission, farming up void relics, and then refining those void relics by playing a few void missions and getting all this cool prime shiny stuff, right? Of course, they won't have the high mastery rank, which other people have, but I don't feel like that's the things that people chase, or that is what matters to other players. Yeah, sure, statistics might matter. That number beside your name, people may, look at that and say, oh yeah, that's a super important thing. But whenever a new player comes into the game, they want to see the person that has the coolest, shiniest stuff ever. Things which basically obliterate anything in the battlefield, or with little effort, put it that way. So, like, it's more or less, in my opinion, the prime stuff was a symbol of, yes, I've worked for this. I've got this now. This is mine. And you have to put in the same amount of effort than me to get that. Where now it's just kind of, all right, we just do this mission, we refine our relics, and we'll get it eventually, There's always that sort of certainty that you're going to get a new prime weapon or a new prime frame, or at least the part that you're after now, because of the relic system. And yeah, I can agree that grinding sometimes gets very annoying, but I feel like that was also a very core concept of the game and really grabbed my attention to it, because anything that I got in the game, I really worked for. And I worked for it because I wanted to work for it. And the reason that I wanted to work for it is because I found the game enjoyable, and I knew that anyone who joined the game beforehand, or after me, sorry, wasn't going to have the same stuff that I would be working for. So, now you're just putting in the same amount of effort and you're getting the same amount of reward as every other player, And it kind of makes it boring, because a week after the new prime frame is out, everyone has it. Everyone's selling it in trade chat, and I just find that pretty boring. But I don't know, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Would you rather have a more hardcore grindy Warframe, or would you rather keep Warframe the way it is now? And I can understand the argument that, yeah, people have jobs, people have lives, and they don't get to sort of sit around and play video games all day like some other people do. But, like, I feel like grinding, as much as people hate it, was a core concept of Warframe. And taking that away makes it a lot less enjoyable, because keeping grinding in the game gave me a lot more incentive to play, gave me a lot more incentive to go for a certain item, and gave me a lot more incentive to maybe consider doing an endurance run on a T4 defense, for example. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's crazy that they were able to sort of completely change how the game flows with a single update, which was a Star Chart update. And I only really, I guess, have the balls to talk about it now because my clan basically asked me to. Like, this has been a thing that's been on my mind for a very long time, ever since the Star Chart actually was reworked. So, I've been playing the game a lot less ever since the Star Chart rework, because I find the game a lot easier. And I think it's pretty disappointing that it is a lot easier, because I lose interest a lot faster, is what I'm trying to say. I remember whenever the Frost Prime got unvaulted. Like, unvaulting isn't a new concept. Frost Prime was vaulted and then unvaulted whenever Void Keys was still a thing. It took me and one other of my clan members 90 runs before we got the blueprint. Pretty crazy, right? And I think that was in one day. I don't know. He'll quote me if I'm wrong, but that was a lot of T3 capture runs in one day. We were dedicated to getting that, and it gave us an incentive to keep going. But now it's just like, oh yeah, you get your void traces, you refine your relic, and you'll get it eventually. And that is what kind of bugs me, because now every single Warframe player and their mother can get every single thing in the game with, you just look at it, next thing you know, it's yours, You go here, you get these resources, it's yours. So, yeah, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about having a more grindy Warframe, or would you rather keep it less grindy? I definitely think making the game less grindy to an extent is a thing which could have been implemented back whenever Void Keys was still a thing. However, do I think they had to basically take away Void Keys and make Void Relics and create an entire new system which forces players to play on a particular Star Chart map, which they don't maybe necessarily want to play on? I feel like it's better to give the player a choice of which tile set they want to play, And you know, I prefer the Void. The Void was an awesome place. I want to play the Void all the time. If I could farm all my prime stuff in the Void right now, I'd probably play the game a lot more, because I think the Void is a more interesting place to be. It's a lot higher level enemies. It's a lot more diverse in terms of the things that you can bring with you, because there's a lot more diverse enemies. It's a lot more challenging. It's just a prettier, more interesting and intriguing tile set, at least in my opinion. So yeah, again, definitely leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below, because it's something that I want to discuss. And I'm sorry if my voice kind of annoyed you. It's like a ticklish cough that I have. I know it doesn't sound like a big deal to a lot of you guys, but my throat is actually killing me right now, and it's actually pretty insane that I've been able to talk for the past 20 minutes and you know, not sort of cough my guts up. I'm probably going to do it after the video. But yeah, definitely leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. I know I said that 3 times already, but it's really something that I want to talk about, because it can only really go in a positive direction. You have nothing to lose from starting a conversation about the direction of the game, and whether you think a change is positive or negative, because I feel like the Void key system was entirely fine. It was an awesome system. I like the concept behind, okay, you have this key, you can go to the sacred place, and then maybe you'll get the sacred prime part that you're after. Maybe when you were in the sacred place, you could have got these void traces and use it to upgrade your key, and then you have a better chance of getting that prime thing. But, you know, I'd rather stick to the key system and have that super fun, interesting void tile set somewhere that I can always go to farm up my sacred prime parts, or whatever the case may be. Just go in there and do that there, instead of having this diverse, let's munch everybody together in the star chart, force people to play on a tile set which they don't necessarily want to play, and make grinding really easy. I feel like, you know, you can either have one or the other in that regard. You can either make grinding really easy, or munch everyone and mix newer players with veteran players to some degree, you know. So I don't know, it's really a complicated topic to sort of talk about, because I know I was kind of talking about 2 topics there. But yeah, definitely making a veteran player and beginner player integration is a very crucial part of Warframe, making them work together. Community is a large part of Warframe, but I feel like there was other ways to do that there, instead of reworking the Void Key concept completely, making Void Relics and pushing all the prime parts to the star chart. I just feel like it devalues all of your prime stuff, and it makes the game a lot less enjoyable, because it's a lot easier, and I feel like it's a lost challenge. I mean, there's a lot of things in Warframe which I feel like have lost challenge over the years, because a lot of people there's a lot more new mods, a lot more damaging weapons, a lot more means for CC, and people are becoming more competent at the game, because guides like mine exist. Guides like, you know, whoever else posts YouTube videos exist, you know. So people are just able to sort of go on the internet and, you know, look up whatever the case may be, what they want to know. How do I deal more damage versus Grenier? Will you mod for corrosive and fire, or radiation and toxin if it's the bombards which are causing you trouble, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I think I'm going to end the video here, guys. I'm sorry for rambling on for 23 minutes. If you find this an interesting sort of listen to, please let me know in the comment section. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, because that's basically what I'll base these videos on, and I'll try to post these more frequently if you guys enjoy these, and sort of show the support. And hit subscribe for more Warframe videos, and I'll see you guys next time.